The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour. And what do we have going on right now? Well, is that right? Up 2 points? Let me update that just to make sure. Oh, we're up 3.5 points on the S&P cash. Dow's down 79, Nasdaq's up 27, Russell's up 5, crude oil's up $3. And hats off to Arthur out there who went long crude. Looked like a good trade. I don't like putting trades on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, mostly because the API and EIA numbers can kind of come out of the blue and mess up a fairly good trade. But yeah, it kind of looks to me like we've got of stuff going on out here. There isn't a lot going on in the traditional stuff like gold. It's down $5. Silver's off 28 cents. But yeah, watching the comments a bit last night on Bloomberg at about 3 o'clock in the morning was very interesting to watch. OPEC members being questioned by some Bloomberg guys. I thought it was kind of funny. They say, well, what do you think of when world leaders ask you to produce more oil? He says, well, it's a lot of noise. I thought that, okay, that pretty much says what I thought that they thought, which is they really don't pay much attention when Western leaders beg for more oil. But yeah, you probably made some kind of low here. We'll get into UNG and some of that other stuff. But as I said, this is for at least for natural gas is you pretty much through March now is a very tough time to be short natural gas. Crude can move a great deal more. But we're in options expiration, and generally, if you don't have a lot of action on the Thursday, then you get a lot of action on the Friday. Now, let's see. Hang on just a second. Let me double check and triple check so I don't have to go in there. See. There we go. Go back and check it. Okay. Okay. It says it's got the dates. I just wanted double, triple, quadruple check out here about what's going on here. Okay. Yeah. It's not this month. Someone asked me, and I was pretty sure it was next month for quad witching. But you got a fairly decent downside in the market, but we're so far away from it that a lot of times they'll just hold the market up through earnings. So I mean through expiration. So there isn't a whole lot, but that does get us into a fairly long cycle. If that's right, and let me triple check this too, just so I knew. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So, yeah, you were basically almost 30 days into expiration for September. It's on the 16th. So we'll keep an eye on it. But generally, if you don't get a lot of action today, then you get a lot of action tomorrow. Sometimes they clean the decks off on Thursday only to see them move on Friday. Now, generally on Friday, what they'll do is, let's say that the balance as it is now is to the downside, That's where the option market makers would more than likely like to move it. What they'll do is wait until all the premiums are sucked out and then to move the market the other way. So generally, if I wake up and the first hour and a half is bearish, then I look to maybe a bullish play by the end of the day. And if it's bullish early in the day, then I kind of think about the easiest way to move is probably lower. After all the all the opposite side puts or calls have been crushed and people give up, when they're 10 cents, only to see them buy $1 by the end of the day if the market turns around. So we'll see. But we pretty much top ticked the SPYs. We got out of them this morning. When we didn't see, we really probably should see the SPYs, or we should have seen the SPYs break the 425 area. And if it couldn't, if it did, you had another 5 points down in the SPYs, which would have been very good for my puts. But that we didn't get that. We'll have to live with a measly 100% gain, or a little more than that, than the 300 or 400% gain that I thought could be out there this week. But we've had a couple pushes. I certainly don't like the way that the market closes the last couple of days, which is selling into the close. We don't have a lot of pushes. I don't see any real indication that the Fed's come back again. I've been working on the summation that the Fed was trying to prop us up into the very bad news of China. Now that we are moving on from that and the market really hasn't done much, I don't see any kind of real indication that they're throwing another $5 billion at the market this week. We'll look through the numbers and see whether the equity positions that they have rises or lowers. But I think that comes out at about 5:30. So I will go back through that tonight and tell you about it tomorrow. But I don't see really a whole lot of indications. If there's anything going on in a lot of the individual stocks that I'm looking at, it looks more like at least some level of distribution. I don't know if it's enough on some of these bigger stocks to do anything like Apple. But I think I talked about it on Tuesday that I thought I'd seen kind of a world record on pushing on Apple to get it back up over the last couple of days. They did everything but go out and hook up some mules to drag it a little bit higher, and that's it. Anyway, you're right into this gap. The gap down on Apple came on April 6th, did so with about 90 million shares. Yesterday, you got into it with about 79, which wasn't bad. It's not the end of the world. Today, you got about 38 million shares. So is it good? Yeah. Can I find a lot of better stocks that would go lower if the market turns lower? I think the answer on that is yes. But what I'm really thinking here is that when you look at the summation index, the breadth, especially over the last 8 days, has massively decreased. So there are only a handful of stocks holding the market up at the moment. I'm thinking they think if they can hold the market up here, that maybe some of the retail traders will come in. There's just not a lot of evidence that retail traders are really have any appetite, maybe until September. We'll be back in a minute.
Of booming inflation, where your purchasing power is eroded, there's no better place to protect your hard-earned money than in gold. Vista Gold's flagship asset is the Mount Todd Gold Project in the Northern Territory of Australia. This is Australia's largest undeveloped gold project. We are talking a world-class gold project in a Tier 1 mining district. This is a large-scale, low-cost project with significant existing infrastructure in a politically safe and friendly mining jurisdiction. Vista Gold just completed the Mount Todd feasibility study, which resulted in a 7 million ounce gold reserve and a 16-year mine life. All of this, combined with the approvals of all major operational as well as environmental permits, This distinguishes Mount Todd as an attractive, de-risk partner, ready development stage gold project. Vista Gold trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol VGZ.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
And we're back. We're up 6 points on the S&P cash. Yeah, I don't think much is going to happen today. But as I said, watch for a lot of action, maybe about 10:30, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Generally, if they hold the market up, they can hold it up into the close. Of course, Monday and Tuesday options roll over. So generally, you have a lot of action that depends on them driving the price up one day and down the next to get in and out of option positions. Generally, one of the bigger moves that we see, because they get really set up until October, November with those 90-day options. There's a great deal of them that will kick out starting next week. So again, I'm kind of waiting to see the whites of their eyes to do anything else before then. I don't see a strong market. But at the same time, you don't want to be short a quiet market. And I don't think there's a lot of upside in the market to be long either at the moment. So sometimes it's just sitting on your hands that is good. There isn't a lot of volume, both either higher or lower. Right now, as we start the show, in the second segment, we've got about 6.2 billion shares, and that is very quiet for a Thursday before a options expiration. So again, more than likely, we're probably going to have a lot of action. And generally, like I said, the best thing is to think about fading the early morning action unless we have a gap higher or lower of like 50 points, then generally you're that way for the rest of the day. But if we open 10 points higher, 10 points lower, and they sell off and push down for a while, then generally you just flip the other way for the rest of the day after the options are all squeezed out of the wrong side. Speaking of squeezing, we have a question. We've got a question about Walmart. Let's go back up here and see how about Walmart? You gapped higher I don't think there's a lot of juice beyond it. You've got 3 days. My guess is it's probably going to come back and fill this gap around 134. You had a lot of volume on the gap higher, but again, you're just going into these huge volume down days back on May 17th that had 44 million shares. The best day you had here was 30 million shares. So is it a horrible thing? No. But again, it seems like a lot of these earnings are people piling up short going into them and just getting squeezed out for a handful of days, and not much else is going on. Speaking of squeezes, I think we got some other stuff. Question about the IWM. Hey, you're off a little bit on this. I don't see a whole lot happening. Again, in the scheme of things, tomorrow is a fairly important day for me because I think there may be some great opportunities to make some moves on 20-cent puts or calls that end up being $1 by the end of the day. But in the scheme of things, is that going to move the indexes a great deal? 20 points higher or lower probably doesn't make a lot of difference to most people if they're trading an ETF or something like that. So is it a big deal tomorrow? Probably not. And then you go into options rollover, which is 1 day up and 1 day down. So a lot of times by the next until Wednesday, you just get a market that's goes one way, goes the other, goes the other way. And by the time of if you're not perfect on all the moves, you've kind of been ground to death and pulled into the chop. So I tend to avoid trading chop. And that's unfortunately kind of where we're at. But generally, I do pretty well on those Friday into expiration calls. I think Tom O'Brien calls them white lightning. Never understood why he called them that. Maybe it's apropos. But it sounds kind of on the point. But I don't know if that's like been a long-standing name in the market, but it sounds good enough. See what else we have going on out here. Fast finger action, that's good. Okay, anyway, back to that. I don't see a great deal going on in some of these indexes. As I said, generally I tend to play single stock expiration puts or calls on those Friday moves, because you get a move or two, maybe $3, and it doesn't sound a great deal, and it certainly doesn't change the trajectory of the market long term. But if you can get an out of the money put for 50 cents that ends up being worth $3, you got 6 to 1. Means you can be wrong 5 times and still make money, almost, or at least you'll break even on 5 times being wrong. So I kind of like the setup today, but again, traders are all about what have you done for me lately and where's the action now? And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we get a lot more before the end of the day. 877-927-6648. Yeah, I get the whiskey reference, but like I said, I'm wondering if it's something that he came along, or if it's something that would have been out there for a very long time. And never look at the lineage of that comment, but that's it. Jason, electrical application where strings of adjacent light bulbs cycle on and off frequently to give the illusion of lights moving along the string. Okay. Doesn't see how that applies to the market. I'm sure, it's close enough there. Like I said, I'm just wondering where it came from. I've listened to it for 20 years and really haven't ever asked about it. So one of those days where you just wonder about things. Okay, what else do we have out here? Do I have another one? Is that it? Okay. Basil had you. Well, maybe that's it. Lightning trades. Maybe that's just it. Everybody should reach for some white lightning that might make the hour go just a little quicker out here. Okay. Anyway, as I said, not a lot going on today, but I think it's the quiet before the storm, based on the way that options expiration is. And so we'll see. I got some emails out here. I'll try to get to that one out there. Okay. Okay. I think we got another question up here that I may have missed. Okay, we talked about Walmart, talked about Russell. Okay. And see. We didn't bring up Apple. Apple's one of those stocks that seems to be very good about pinning on options expiration. So seeing it here at 175 makes me think maybe that's one I'll be waiting for to see how it trades tomorrow. But we'll get back. I got a bunch of other emails I'll go through.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as we come back here, we're going to go through Microsoft. You're pulling back on light volume today. You're still in the trade. Still in the this upper band from earnings. Is it earnings? On the 10th, where you gapped higher on 24 million shares. You're back into about 10. You've got a double gap. So if there is some kind of big movement on it, or if you were thinking about buying it, you probably have about an 80% chance this touches 286. So, I would probably have been out by now And if you're thinking that this is one that you want to go long, could be interesting at about 286 where that double gap is. I've shown on the air so many times how these things come back that one gap is good, but two gaps is probably worth actual three small gaps in predictive ability, he says. Okay, can I take a quick look at the SMHs today? You got a little more juice out of them today. Unfortunately, the volume isn't there in the SMHs. You gapped down yesterday on 3.3 million shares. Today you're up on 1.8. So, let's say you end up with 2.5 million shares today. Still going to be rather lighter than this gap lower. Again, I think there's a lot of these where you could make a fairly good case that they're going to come back and fill at least part of these gaps on the SMHs. That would be 232, 232 and a half, something like that. We're going to go to Rich in Oregon. How you doing today?
Thanks for taking my call, Dave. I appreciate it.
Give me a full report.
I'm concerned about Plantronics, PLAB.
You have Photronics?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought maybe you said Plantronics, which is the headset company.
No, I mispronounced it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Photronics.
Okay.
PLAB. So are you long this or short it? What are you thinking?
I'm long. It's going to be coming into earnings the week after next on the 30th.
Have you looked at how this tends to trade pre-earnings?
Yes.
Does it tend to squeeze?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like it to me.
Yeah. So you have pulled back off this huge pop higher. The problem I have is the volume on that pop didn't have much juice, but it did have more than the previous high at 23 with 850,000 shares. So, you've had some big days, some big down days. There aren't a lot of clear signals on it, but for the most part, if the market doesn't fall apart, and I'm long, at what price are you long?
About 22.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of room in it.
21.
Yeah. So you got a little bit, but you don't have a whole lot of room. I'd probably put my stop at break even and let it ride and see. Let me pop up and see if this thing has some heavy short interest, because if it does, they're probably going to run them out before earnings actually hit. Let's see. PLAB. Okay. Hey, you got some decent short interest, about in the last week or so, average of about 20%. Let's look at the bi-monthly. You got 2 days to cover and 3.2%. So overall, at least from the end of last month, it's not horrific. On the daily basis, you have some people kind of hammering on it. But I don't see any reason. Would I hold it through earnings? Probably not. But my guess is that you're probably going to see it move closer to 20, that 25 area, 25 and a half, something like that, pre-earnings, and you can get at it there. But I don't see a lot of either weakness or strength in it, other than it just kind of going to the top of that trading range, unless the entire market falls apart. But, if we just went sideways here, my guess is this would just drift up even on light volume to 25, 25 and a half. And at that point, you're probably an hour or two away from earnings. Is it after the bell or before?
That I'm not sure of.
Okay, let's take that look at that. Okay, where are we at here? Because generally the after the bell ones are pretty good for squeezing right into the end of the day. Let's see. Okay. PLAB. Okay. Do I have the earnings date? Not on that one. Okay. Do I have it there? No. Okay, let's try this one. See if they have a date and a time. Okay,
yeah,
August
on
30th.
My Ameritrade, and it showed 8:30.
Yeah, I show 6 a.m. Generally, the ones I like to be in are the ones that report after the bell, because a lot of times, somewhere between 1 and 3 p.m., you'll see that all the people that were short, if it hasn't fallen apart and the wheels fall off the wagon, they tend to start covering, so you can get another buck out of a stock sometimes that way. But if it's in the morning, then generally you don't get a lot of that end-of-day action as much as you do as the ones that actually do. But yeah, I've got 6 a.m. on August 30th, so we've got the 18th. Generally, if you're within 2 weeks of earnings, it is fairly rare to see something fall apart. They'd have to come out and pre-announce or something, and I don't see that. You may be a little long in the tooth up here, but generally that doesn't matter into earnings. Everybody will just kind of hum along till the end. But I'd be, unless it starts getting a lot of volume or does something that really starts showing a bigger signal, I'd be out before the close of the 29th.
Okay. I appreciate it.
You bet. Yeah, I mean, there's
Dave.
that good. It's a tough trade to short a stock into earnings, and even in a bear market, that ends up being problematic. So, if you get within 2 weeks, 10 days of it, generally better to just move along and find something else that is a little easier to trade, because generally the bias isn't a whole lot, but there's a fairly good bias to the upside on earnings, even if they're going to blow up. They tend to run you out. And not only that, they tend to run you out in after hours action. They'll run a stock like that $3-4, and then you find out it's $3-4 lower by the time the actual news comes out. So like I said, not a big fan of those not a big fan until the earnings come out of playing after hours action or before market action. A couple of questions to go through the usual suspects. Of course, as we said, AMD and NVIDIA have had fairly high short sell numbers on the daily from FINRA. Are you getting a lot of juice out of it? No. But again, there's the old chestnut from the market, and that is do not be short a quiet market. I'm not a big fan of going into tomorrow, NVDA, short NVIDIA or AMD. Now, after they open, maybe a whole different story, or maybe 10:30 or 11. Maybe you get some better movement then. We'll be back in a minute.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
As we come back, we were talking about NVIDIA. There's not a lot of volume here, but again, there's kind of a big, easy rake for the option market makers, and that is to dispirit people kind of on the right side many times of options expiration to get them to kick out the options right before they turn, get a little bit better before the end of the day. So generally, I kind of fade the direction of the first hour and a half or so. Generally, by 11 o'clock, they've run all the premiums out of the market and shaken the weak hands and been able to buy back options. Like I said, sometimes it'll be 20 cents or 25 cents and end up being $1 into the money by the end of the day. So you want to keep an eye on it. The market doesn't have to move that much, but keep a close eye on Apple tomorrow. That's what I'll be doing because that's generally the best bellwether for what's going on. At the moment, 175 seems likely. So, maybe they try to open this thing. If I can get it correct here. APL. Maybe they try to push it higher in the morning and get it above that level, and it comes back to 175. Maybe they open it lower and it drifts higher to the end of the day. I can't really find any evidence on why they were pushing it so hard this week other than to keep the markets up. But it has been one that has been rare to see a retail stock like that pushed so hard on CNBC and Bloomberg. Tesla did come back, tested this gap higher. Do I see a lot in this one? No. You had a big gap down on May the 5th. You came down on 31 million shares. You got back into this with about 29. So is there some kind of clear indication of no volume back up here at the highs? Pretty tough. And of course, everybody's hot on these. I did see that Dodge showed their new Challenger EV today. Like I said, there are going to be a ton of new cars coming out with EV. You don't have, like I said, you don't have a whole lot out here. You got a slightly higher volume low at 626. I'm just suspecting that the best is probably in for Tesla. And why they had a market all to themselves, it probably gives them a profit margin that they can't hold long term. And it's just waiting for the right time to figure that it's topped out. But my guess is that it'd have multiple years of selling left in it once the competition really gets in there. Is there a competitive advantage in batteries or anything else really that big? As far as I can tell, the answer is no. So, I mean, if they do anything, I think I talked about this before. I helped put back together a Franken Tesla the end of last summer. And I give them high grades for the electric motor and some of the other stuff in it. The car, not so much. For a factory vehicle, it was missing a lot of screws and the stuff that put back together and had never been taken apart. But there were just things missing, and you can see that it's kind of always a work in progress, which is nice for software. For hardware, you kind of want to make sure all that stuff is there. But was it necessary? No. Could you live without it? Yes. But it does kind of show that even the big manufacturers probably a little bit better on making sure that if there's a screw hole there, that there is a screw in it. And if they run short, they just don't push it down the line, although they've done that in the past also. But like I said, every day brings some kind of new EV to the market. The old saying in the stock market is it doesn't matter till it matters, and then it's the only thing that matters. And that's probably what you're looking for. You'll see that eventually the news does connect. And at that point, you could easily see, I think, a $550 stock over the next year when it turns back lower. It doesn't matter how many they sell if there is a fairly big cut compared to the traditional manufacturers who live on 8% margins compared to Tesla trying to hold 22%. IKEA furniture, it always says need a 12-year-old to assemble it. You never can find the 12-year-old when you need him. But that's it. Okay, we got a few more emails out here, so we'll take a look. Okay, I don't see much of that. Okay, I'll answer that during the break. Okay, XLE. Well, to me, in the commodity space, this one looks like probably the best. The only thing I dislike here is the lighter volume into the previous high. You've got now 3 highs with, the first one on June 29th with 40 million shares, a little higher on June 29th with 26 million shares, and now you're into this one, 17 million shares. Maybe there's a lot more volume, or maybe you get a jump the creek breakthrough ice. Jump the creek higher. You've got 2 gaps at 81.5 and 87 that could get filled. All of those had some fairly decent volume, but on a minimum, I'd say this thing is going to retest 81. If the light volume commences, I'd probably have a stop in at 79.50 if it got to 81-ish. I'd probably put my stop up to 79.5 because you don't want this thing pulling back into the trading range. On the positive side, you had a test of the big high volume low on June 23rd that got blown out, but only with 36 million shares. In a couple of days, it's back into the trading range. So you got that. You also have yet another low on August 5th with 28 million shares, much less than the 36 million share low on July 14th, and half the volume of the June 23rd. So I think you can probably make a fairly good indication that 70 is the low for the XLE. It's been verified, and now you're really looking to kind of push the highs out in this. But my guess is generally for energy is you have a big gap on some kind of news, and that's where all the volume comes in, and then you just move a little higher. But very tough for me to be bearish on energy. Not exactly sure what gold's doing, but very tough to see or be short energy this fall and winter. We'll be back, wrap up the show.
Vista Gold owns and operates the largest undeveloped gold project in Australia, the Mount Todd Gold Project. Vista Gold just completed their feasibility study, resulting in a 7 million ounce gold reserve. Vista Gold has all major permits approved and has retained CIBC capital market assistance in evaluating alternatives and in completing an accretive transaction. Vista Gold trades on the NYSE American and TSX under the ticker symbol VGZ. Vista Gold, executing a strategy to create shareholder value.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den, hosted at Discord. TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And they're talking about the big bopper. When I was learning going for my IFR rating, I remember we went through the accident that killed all three of those big music stars. Of course, the big song about them dying that day. But yeah, if you're ever thinking about learning to fly and fly on instruments, that's a good one to look at. It shows you the normal problems that people have flying with instruments and why they should have never taken off. 87. Well, we're kind of done for the day. Not any real reason to give you my phone number yet, unless you want it for tomorrow. As we said, we've got one last email in here to look at Micron. Do I see anything else going on for the day? And again, what do we have up here? So we're up. Is that right? Up 5? Up 9. So yeah, just kind of light and variable Generally, look for a lot of action tomorrow. Probably a little bit of reversal somewhere around 10:30 or 11 tomorrow. Not uncommon for options expiration day. You don't have a lot of juice in Micron. Just very light volume sideways out here. So, yeah, I think we're getting ready that we didn't have action today, that we'll probably have action tomorrow in a market. Monday and Tuesday options rollover days. One day it'll be up, the next one will be down, or it'll be down and the next day up. Wednesday really kind of is the next big day to put on some kind of trade if you think that a big direction is going to come out of the movement, because generally about noon on Wednesday is when the market starts moving again in its natural direction or the path of least resistance. But that's it. We'll see you tomorrow. My guess is going to be a busy day, and see you then.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible.